What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to I Do It Myself. Listen, y'all been showing up and showing out. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for subscribing. Make sure that you hitting the likes. Make sure that you sharing. I appreciate the convos that we've been able to have, you know what I mean, through the shorts, you know what I'm saying, that I'm posting on my IG, through the convos that we having in the comments, you feel me? We keeping it respectful. We keeping it very respectful, and we're going to talk about a few things today. First and foremost, let's talk about this whole Lupe versus Kendrick versus weird, like, how could I say it? Weird relationship type stuff. So I was doing a little bit of research, right? And just looking back, people have always been doing these videos about is Lupe jealous of Kendrick Lamar, right? And my first thought was this, right? As you can see, we got Food and Liquor right here, you know what I'm saying, to the left of me. And the reason why I have that photo of that album is because that album means a whole lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, that album came out at a time where, like, I felt like it was needed. It was a shift in music. A lot of things was changing around. And I was just happy that, you know what I mean, it came out, because one thing about Lupe is, like, his music has always been expressive in the sense of, like, being yourself. That's first and foremost. So if you haven't listened to Food and Liquor, please do. Now, back to what I was saying about people being jealous, or Lupe being jealous of Kendrick. It kind of bugged me out, because when I thought about it, I was like, yo, Lupe's had his time, right? Like, Lupe's not some artist that didn't have success. Like, you got to think, to be a young up-and-coming artist coming out of Chicago on the heels of a Kanye West, we find out about him. Like, I say, like, the masses find out about him right before late registration drops, you feel me? Then you have Jay-Z executive produce your album. You put out an album like Food and Liquor, which is a classic. You get a single produced by the Neptunes when, you know, that stuff really, really, really matters. Impacts culture, comes back with The Cool, another classic album, if you ask me, you know what I mean? Then comes with Lasers. I think a lot of people, you know what I mean, Lasers, it was cool. It wasn't Lupe's best effort. Then I think, was it Food and Liquor 2 after that? I can't remember the timeline, but I never got that Lupe could have, like, a bit of bone in his body in that sense. Now, I'm going to get to what I think about my perspective is that he feels regarding Kendrick. But again, record like Superstar, you know what I mean? That was a big record. I mean, if that record was on streaming back then, it'd be way over $1 billion on everything if it hasn't reached $1 billion already. But when I look at the conversation and I'm assessing, like, you know, when he's talking about Drake versus Kendrick, or how he feels about Drake versus Kendrick, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I don't think you wrong if you like one more than the other. It depends on the context, right? When I listen to the Lupe talk about Kendrick, he says that he respects him. There's no way possible you can't respect somebody with a pen that good, you feel me? But I think he just don't like him. I think it's that simple. I think it's like he just really don't like him. Now, why he don't like him, I don't know. But I don't think that Lupe looks at Kendrick as this guy who got to do something that he didn't do, or he, like, started so Kendrick could take it further. I don't look at it like that. You know what I mean? And whoever does, like, y'all give me y'all thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Y'all give me y'all thoughts. But I just really think he just don't like him. And that's cool too. And for whatever reasons he don't like him, he's not going to disclose that no time soon. Now, when he had a conversation and he said, you know, I don't think he was wrong by saying, like, Drake has bars. I do think that he made a good comparison. He said Drake has, like, bars, but I think Kendrick is a better technical skill rapper, right? And I wouldn't necessarily say he has better bars, but I do think that, like, Drake, when it's time for him to rap, he centers it more around, like, punchlines and entendres and leading up, where, like, Kendrick is more so, Kendrick has bars too, but his bars is, like, really, really direct. He throws melody into it. I mean, both of them use melody. They use it in different ways, you know what I mean? But he throws melody into it. He changes his voice around, and he talks about certain stuff that I think both of them complement each other the same way Jay-Z and Nas did. Jay-Z did records that Nas would never do, and Nas did records that Jay-Z would never do. You feel me? And I think they both kind of go into that, but I don't want to go and make this back into, like, Drake versus Kendrick. That's over. Lupe. Lupe is also a rapper's rapper, right? Like, I think that you look at Lupe's career, yeah, I can honestly say as a hardcore Lupe fan, he didn't reach certain plateaus that I thought he would. And I remember him like basically being vocal saying that like it's just certain shit that he wasn't willing to do. Certain things he just wasn't down with. He just wasn't gonna do. Certain records, like he said, what was the record? Touch the Sky, like the Kanye. He's like, he wasn't gonna do that. It's just certain things that he didn't want to do, right? Because what was the B.O.B. record? Beautiful Girls. I think he had the demo for Beautiful Girls. He didn't do that. And think about how big of a record that would have been for Lupe, but it wasn't to him. Now, with all that being said, I do also think that Lupe says some outlandish shit sometimes. Like, for real. Like, he definitely goes off on these tangents and goes on these rants. Like, I seen him say something about he's more Japanese than he is black. And, I mean, listen, I don't know if he looked up on his ancestry and seen something that we don't know, but that's just crazy to me. And salute to Japan, because I love Japan. I've been there once. Amazing place. A lot of love there, a lot of respect there, a lot of dope culture, but I can't see myself ever saying something like that. But there's always been some sort of method to his madness. You know what I'm saying? I think that, like, for all of the ridiculous things he may say, he compensates or overcompensates with the music he makes, because he's one of the best, you know, one of my favorite rappers of all time. But I just think it's as simple as Lupe just don't like Kendrick. And of course, there's going to be 100 breakdowns and chop ups and the Twitter spaces and all of that. And I just wish that a lot of rappers just wasn't vocal regarding certain issues, right? Like, I wish that, like, well, maybe it's a gift and a curse, because you want to know what's on your favorite rapper's minds, but at the same time, it's like you kind of don't want to know everything they thinking. And that's just the era I'm from. All right, aside from that, you know what I mean? We'll come back to that Lupe thing, you know what I mean, eventually. But aside from that, Cardi B, Joe Budden. When I seen Cardi B and Joe Budden, I wouldn't necessarily say go at it, but I seen Cardi B, like, basically, you know, she went off on Joe Budden on the Twitter spaces. It sounded really like a lot of pent up anger, or a lot of like resentment or animosity that she had built up over time based on things that Joe has said or not. What kind of bugged me out though is that numerous times, and Cardi even said something about this, but numerous times I've seen Cardi, Joe big Cardi up on the Joe Budden podcast. And it got me to thinking, right? Like, yo, as men in media, should we just not talk about women at all? Like, I'm at that point now, right? Because I feel like the women, the female rappers, a lot of them don't like to be called females or female rappers, whatever your take may be with that. They want the praise. They want the recognition. But at the point where you don't agree, or you ain't really rocking, or you feel like they could do better, it turns into something totally different. And this is not just for Cardi. I remember one time when Megan had dropped, I don't know enough Meg music to say I know the album, but I remember she dropped the album and it was coming off the heels of the whole Tory Lanez stuff. And she basically said, you know, I mean, she basically did the intro to her album rapping over Who Shot You, the Who Shot You beat by Biggie. And my first thing I tweeted, because I listened to it, I tweeted and I was like, why would she rap over that beat? I just don't think it was a good, like, idea to pick that beat, because for me, I was like, all right, Who Shot You was like Biggie antagonizing a person who was a victim, right? And for her, she was the victim, but like rapping from the perspective of being, it just, rapping over that beat didn't make sense to me. I'm critiquing that not as Meg being a female rapper, none of that. I'm just critiquing Meg as a rapper. And immediately when I said that, I got all these tweets about how I hate black women, how I hate my mother, how I probably don't have a woman in my life, how I got women issues. I was like, what, where does this happen at, right? Then you get people who also, women who do this. You say something about a woman and it's not favorable, and they don't got to be disrespectful. You just got to say, I don't really like that. Then you get people who say that you like a closet. I've been called a closet homosexual because I didn't like somebody's song. And that's just ridiculous, because reverse those roles, right? But you can't. And that's why, you know, things are the way they are. But it really got me to thinking, because anytime whenever you giving a woman praise for how good she is as an artist, oh, no, it's cool. That's cool all day. Cool all day. The minute you leave them off a list, and if you leave them off a list for whatever personal reasons you may have, or let's not even say personal reasons. Let's say you leave them off a list because you just don't think that they're living up to the same level as the next rapper, whether that be a man or a woman, then you call the misogynist or gatekeeper or this, that, and the third. And it bugs me out that it's like at any point in time, whenever you say something about somebody, you know what I mean, and it's not what they want, you could just be like, yo, she fired, but like, I feel like her bars could be harder. Why are you in women's business? What the fuck? Yo, like, what is that about? You feel me? But honestly, I think that like the Joe Cardi thing, and then Joe even apologized, you know what I mean? He said, yo, if I said anything that, you know what I mean, may have offended you, I apologize. And then Cardi even, you know, she threw another tweet back towards him and said something about, you know what I mean, like, I got love for you too, but you just be doing a little bit too much. But honestly, I think that Joe has grown a lot in that sense, you know what I'm saying? Because the old Joe would have just went crazy, you know what I mean? He'd have went crazy. We'd have got Joe in the wife beater with no hat on, you know what I'm saying, going crazy on the pod. I think Joe has grown from that. But at the same time, it's like, is there room for men to critique women? Because women critique men all day. Like when you're a man, you just got to take any disrespect, you don't even have to do nothing wrong. You just get grouped up into a group of all other men that might have did something wrong to this said woman. But that's a whole nother story. I want to close out with this though. There was a lot of, you know, I had a conversation on the last episode regarding Adam 22. And listen, again, I'm reading your comments. I see what y'all talking about. I see y'all expressing y'all frustrations with even me saying, well, why would you wait to say something about it? Or why are you addressing it now? Because guess what? I got my own platform now. You know what I'm saying? When I was doing Everyday Struggle, I couldn't just go talk when I felt like I had something on my mind. I could have, but I didn't invest in myself at that time. When I was doing Connected with Wayno, I couldn't do it. I was doing it once a month. So that only goes to show you how much time and bandwidth I had to create content, right? But now that I'm doing this and now that I'm expressing myself, you can't like down me for trying. You feel me? Or doing, might I say. You got to change your vernacular because I'm doing right now. I ain't trying nothing. You feel me? But it's so many people that's like, oh, well, if Pop Smoke was rapping about... Listen, this is how I feel. I don't want to see no black man lose their life. I don't care if you're from Milwaukee, Detroit, Atlanta, New York, Pennsylvania, Pensacola. I don't care where you from, bro. I don't want to see no black man or woman lose their life over senseless violence. I've been a product of senseless violence. I've had a lot of close calls in my life. The first friend I ever had in my life, Tamari Proctor, one of my first friends, he was murdered. You feel me? So this is something that's near and dear to me. This is not nothing I'm just talking on my ass on. You feel me? And yes, when I see black men going up on a platform, you know what I'm saying? And Adam 22 is the homie. Like I got respect for Adam. You feel me? Because Adam has lended his platform to me many times when I needed it. When I see that happen, and I see how much they're antagonizing one another, and how many times like No Jumper, I still watch it from time to time, but it went from being like an informative thing to some space where it's just like these brothers are just crashing out daily on. And that bothers me. And I got the right to express what bothers me, just like you. It ain't no right time or no wrong time. Because a lot of people saying, oh, well, King Von was doing it. I wasn't one of those people. You can't go find me no tweets of me saying, yo, King Von he the best. King Von lived a gangster's life. And he died a gangster's life. He got exactly what gangsters get in the end. Death or jail. And he had been to jail 100 times. So my whole convo or my whole thing I was going on this is this. I knew Nipsey Hussle. I got a chance to be in Nipsey Hussle's neighborhood with him. I got a chance to be at the Marathon store in Nipsey Hussle be there with him before it changed into the digital store and all that. I'd be damned if when he lost his life, if the dude Eric Holder who had took his life, somebody over here would have wanted to talk to him about that. If Eric Holder beats his case right now, I'm not rushing to go get an interview. And listen, everybody can say what they got about a person's morality. I'm just speaking for myself. This is what I do. I do it myself. And for those that's been rocking here with me, I appreciate you. And for the ones that don't, eventually you will. I appreciate y'all watching, liking, sharing, subscribing. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.